the story goes with 3 Jewish mothers in Florida, retirees, and as usual, boasting about their children. The first one says, my son, a doctor, sends me $500 every week. The second one, we know this joke, I used it many times. The second one says, well, my son is also a doctor, he sends me $1,000 every week. The third one says, my son sees a psychiatrist twice a week, and he only talks about me and me only. It's an old, really it is an old one. Point. In his book, James Hellman, which was, as you know, bestseller for quite a while in the New York Times. By the way, the title of the book was, "We've had 100 years of psychotherapy and the world is getting worse." That is the title. 100 years of psychotherapy, he says, and the world is getting worse. And he says, it proceeds in a sense to say that one of the reasons that our culture is falling apart is that intelligent people who have no need to see a therapist, they're the ones that are going to therapy instead of becoming social activists. They're paying a therapist for time to complain about work instead of organizing other members. And so on and so on. I don't think that we are totally oblivious to the fact that our environment, that our age, we're living in an age of change. We've defined many ways to define age, but there's no doubt that this is an age of change. And perhaps one of the most dramatic and predictable that we've seen, is that there's hardly a month that passes without some breathtaking development, whether in science, whether in technology, whether it's political. I mean, we can just go recently, we don't have to go too far. All the earthquake, political earthquake in the political landscape in the Middle East and other places, Soviet Union and other places. And New World Order is constantly in the making. And we do not know what to expect for tomorrow. All we can expect is change. Some of the developments are or will be benign. Others, perhaps dislocated. But you can count on one thing, change. And change, for most of us, is painful. The issue that we have to deal with, and this is perhaps how does it affect us in here for what the cause we're here for. The question is, do we have the resources to deal with it? We're soon will be celebrating our 50th year. That is quite an achievement just in that alone. Given the nature of this community, 50 years in the life of the community is old age. It almost deserves to be put in kibble. But, as one of the parents was schmoozing with me the last few days, we need to remain fresh and to remain relevant to redefine ourselves from time to time. Who are we? What are we? Are we still addressing the same mission statement that we started on 50 years ago? We have to begin with the following. First and foremost, Judaism is a religion of continuity. And that is the object of whatever school, institution, educational institution we have, or synagogue, whatever Jewish, anyway, that doesn't matter, a JCC, whatever you have, that is the object themselves. We have to acknowledge that. Judaism, more than any other religion, is a religion of continuity, and that is perhaps the task on hand. How do we address that? In the Academy, trying to acknowledge the constant changing needs as time and our culture is going under severe and fast changes to the point where we have very little time in between to be able to adjust to what's going on. It's too fast. Some things are going too fast for us to adjust and to actually be able to integrate some of what goes on. In the Academy, over the years, we've started different things. Started with the school. The synagogue addressed different needs. Started with the mikveh for many years. There was nothing else but our mikveh. That's another need. And then furthermore, the vad, a different need. And then we have the JEC, addressing needs of the adults, that the adults need education. Children are reared in families with love, but it's not enough. It's not enough. The adults need some help, need some assistance. And we brought in the JEC. And so the Academy has been constantly reassessing its position and redefining it and addressing the multiple needs and the diverse needs of a diverse community and a fast-changing community. Yeah, we recognize that the school aspect should be concerned not merely with the transmission of information, but also it must imbue its students with a sense of morality and religious duties. And it is here that perhaps, when I said the morality aspect, where the institutions, perhaps, the Jewish institutions, come into play, for instance. This is one area which perhaps needed the most to equip us to deal with the changes and the challenges that the world coming up, and which is the most neglected. Even in Jewish studies things. We study the Parsha very well. We take time. We study the Daf Yomi, and we study the Talmud. A great deal. We study the Shulchan Aruch, yeah. But even though the ultimate purpose of all of these studies was to secure behavior modification, it is not in fact. There is very little time and priority given to morality. Musar, the Baalei Musar, the sages who concentrated on the study and the impact of Musar on a man's conduct, a man's behavior. As Mr. James Hellman will tell you, we have treated morality as a personal, perhaps, or a pragmatic matter, not as a community concern. Taken from the Ishchai, Baal Ishchai, and taken from Salanter, one of the greatest moralists in Baal Musar, who said, remember this, one of the famous quotes of the Salanter, when he said, he was realizing what truth is and what Judaism is, that he was going to change the world. And after a while he said, he couldn't do it. He said, okay, he's going to try to change his city. And after a while he realized he couldn't. He says, all right, then he's going to change my community. And he says he couldn't. And finally he says, you know, I'm going to try to change myself. From Salanter in the Baal Ishchai, I quote translating, he says, people are the best and the community is the strongest when we follow the golden rule which emphasizes caring for the self as well as caring for others. Lives are more meaningful and satisfying when they involve commitment, justice, truth, and community. The Ner Tamid, the eternal flame, resides in the hearts of the selfless people. Selfless people which we focus upon this morning. These are volunteers and selfless. Institution, non-profits depend greatly. Their existence depends greatly on your checks, on your pledges. But without the volunteers who respond to needs, to be able to go on from the day-to-day operation, reliable people that you call upon, institutions with all the financial things will not be able to hold without the proper volunteers. And this morning, we focus on honoring 3 of those volunteers who have been with us for many, many years, to allow us to continue constantly to redefine ourselves and to serve all aspects of the community. And so this morning, we take this opportunity to express our gratitude to all of you who've given to years after year, who've donated year after year, who've attended functions year after year. And for those who, in addition to, can be counted upon to show up and to volunteer and to do work, for them to keep it going. And it's a great pleasure to recognize, of course, today, 3 of those volunteers. Valerie and Rachel and Gail. All of those 3 candidates have been with us for years. With the exception of Rachel, although she's been here for a short time, but it looks like she's been here for a long time. So, we express our thanks, our hakarat hatov, for your ongoing support, loyalty, and trust. Without which we couldn't continue with them long.